Hey there! Today I'm going to share a great recipe with you called Apricot Habanero Jelly. It's so good, served over cream cheese, and it's the perfect appetizer, especially during the holiday season. And the best part is that even if you've never canned before, I'm going to go over each step so that you can watch me and you can make this as easy as I do right in your own home. I'm Audrey from Audrey's Little Farm, and around here it's homesteading made simple. The first thing I want to show you is my favorite new way to can. I use a wok propane burner, and it's 10 times faster than actually cooking on the stove. So right now I just have the propane going, and I have all my jars in here. I'm going to bring this water to a boil, and then I'm going to sterilize them for 10 minutes once it comes to a boil. Then I'll just turn that water off and let them sit until I'm ready to use the jars. So the very first thing you want to do is chop 2 cups of dried apricots. I just used 2 60-ounce bags of dried apricots like this, and that was the perfect amount. And then I use a chopper like this one, and I use the smallest piece possible to chop into the smallest chunks. And I chop the 2 cups of dried apricots, and then I add them into a large measuring cup with 4.5 cups of white vinegar. Then after adding the vinegar, you let that sit for 4 hours. So during that time, I just start getting everything else prepped, but I really don't do much until the hour before. As your 4 hours is getting close to being done, then I start prepping the jars. So I use pint-sized jars, and this recipe that I'm making today is a double batch, and it makes 12 pint jars. To prep the jars, all you have to do is unscrew the sealing lid from the screw top. And then you put all of your glass jars in a water bath canner, and you fill it completely to the top with water, and then you bring it to a boil and you let it boil for 10 minutes, and then you can just let those jars sit in that water until you're ready to use them. So right now I have the jars out in my water bath canner, and it's coming to a boil right now as I process all of the rest of the vegetables and I get everything in the pot to get ready to can. As far as these sealing lids go, you just need to put them in a little saucepan of water, and I just keep it on a low simmer. You don't really want to bring them to a high heat because that can ruin the seal. Just keep them on a low heat so they're warm when you put them on the hot jar after you pour the jelly in. Now it's time to start chopping the vegetables. We need 2 cups of chopped red bell pepper, 2 cups of chopped red onion, and 1.5 cups of chopped habanero peppers. And you can choose to leave the seeds in or take them out depending on how hot you like it. I've done them without the seeds, and it's almost too mild, and so today I'm going to keep the seeds in for a little bit more spice. Okay, so I already split all the vegetables in half, but I'm going to use a chopper like this because it puts the pieces into perfect little bite-sized chunks that's perfect for the jelly recipe. So I'm going to start with the onion. And I just have the onion in little pieces. I'm going to just use this chopper to chop it into tiny chunks. And currently I have 2 medium-sized onions, which is about the perfect amount for 2 cups of chopped onion. After you get done chopping your 2 cups of onion, you're just going to pour everything into the big stock pot, and then you're going to start chopping the rest of the vegetables. Okay, now I'm going to start chopping the red bell pepper in the same tiny sized chunks that I did the red onion. Okay, now that I've added the bell pepper into the stock pot, now I'm going to chop the habanero peppers with the seeds in them. But you can choose to do no seeds if you want a little bit less spicy. Okay, now I've chopped 1.5 cups of habanero peppers, and I'm going to just add them into the pot with the onion and the red bell pepper. And now that I've got the vegetables chopped, I have them all added into the stock pot. I'm going to add the vinegar and the apricots into the same pot. And then I'm going to measure out 18 cups of white sugar, and I'm going to add that into the pot. Okay, and now that I have everything in the pot, I have the 2 cups of red bell pepper, 2 cups of red onion, 1.5 cups of habanero peppers, 18 cups of white sugar, and then I have the dried apricots that were in the vinegar, and they're all added to the pot. I'm going to take it outside to the wok burner, and I'm going to bring it to a rolling boil, and once it gets to the rolling boil, I'm going to boil it for 1 minute and then remove it from the heat. While I have the rest of the stuff coming to a boil, I have my mom out there helping me stir. I'm going to get the jars ready. So it's nice to have a jar grabber like this, and you just will grab your jars out of the hot water, dump the hot water out, and set them out on a towel so then they're ready as soon as we pour the hot jam into them. Okay, so I'm going to remove it from the water bath canner, pour the hot water out, and then just set them on a towel to dry. And you only want to do this a few minutes before you're ready to pour the hot jelly in, because if you do it too soon, the jars will cool off and you don't want to pour hot jelly into a cold jar. So do this right before you're ready to finish that jelly, usually about 5 minutes or so before. Okay, now that it came to a rolling boil, I boiled it for 1 minute and pulled it off the heat, and now I'm going to pour in 6 pouches of the liquid pectin. Okay, and after adding the pectin, then you fill each jar 1/4 of an inch from the top, and the best way to do it is use a little funnel like that, and then you'll put on the lid and then the screw. And now after each jar is filled, use a magnetic grabber like this one, put your lid on, and then just gently screw it on just till it's fingertip tight. Don't get it too tight. Okay, now that we've got each jar filled, I'm going to put the jars back into the water bath canner, and then you're going to bring that water to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, you will start your timer for 10 minutes. And as you lower your jars into the water bath canner, be sure that they're at least 1 inch underwater. If the water's below the rim of the jar, fill it up more so it's 1 inch above the jars. Okay, as I'm waiting for the jars to be done processing, I just wanted to point out how great canning with the wok burner is. It is like 10 times faster, so I would definitely consider getting a wok burner. I'm going to link to it below. But I just wanted to let you know I never even loved canning so much until I started canning on this wok burner. And the best is in the summertime when it's hot and you don't want to heat up your house. You can just set it on the porch and it's super easy. Okay, so I just removed all the jars from the water bath canner and I set them on a towel on the counter. And I just wanted to point out a couple of the jars that have already sealed so you know what that looks like. So this jar right here has already sealed, and if you can see, when I push on the top, nothing happens. There's no denting, it doesn't dent down and pop back up. But on this jar, it's just a partial jar, so it's not actually going to seal anyways. I didn't put it in the water bath canner. When I push on the top, how it made that popping noise, well, that means it's not sealed yet. And you can see on this jar here too, it wasn't sealed yet, but I actually pushed it down and it didn't pop back up, so now it's sealed. But you want to just let them rest, and you'll eventually see that they're all sealed, and then they're good to store. And the best thing is to just store them in your pantry at about 70 degrees, anywhere from 50 to 70 degrees is like the ideal temperature. And then if you have any jars that happen to not seal, go ahead and put them in the fridge. Oh, I don't know if you heard that or not, but that popping, that was the sound of the sealing. Anyways, oh, there's another one. Okay, so that's the sealing. They're all gonna probably be sealed by the time this video ends. Okay, well, now I'm gonna just go enjoy this over some cream cheese with some crackers. And I would love to hear how you like this video. I would love to hear if you try it out. And be sure to watch the next video, and we'll see you next time.